Hi, I'm gonna be going over the history of World War II with Microsoft Paint 3D. So let's get started, I guess. So here we have Germany. This is Germany. Shocking, right? Um, so World War One has happened is 1933, and this guy named Adolf Hitler has taken over Germany with the Nazi Party. And Germany is now fascist. And that means nobody has freedom but the dictator Hitler. Now at this time another person's rising in power, this time near the Mediterranean in Italy. Now Italy is mad because they thought they were gonna get so much air stuff because they won World War One, but they didn't. So they now have a new dictator, Mussolini, and he is also fascist. So now we have two countries that are fascist and an allied continent. What do you think will happen here? Well, a world war. Now we're gonna skip 6 years of something, and with uh we start with the UK, Great Britain, and France telling Germany, saying, "Hey, if you invade Poland, we're gonna declare war on you," because the Treaty of Versailles said Germany cannot have a military over 1,000 men, and they need to give all this land, and they can't have an air force. They did all of that. And also, they cannot put troops in the Rhineland over here, basically the border of France. They put troops in the Rhineland. They increased their military, and they had an air force. So now they're mad, and they say, France and Britain, the main allies currently, they say, "Hey, if you're going to invade Poland over here, we're gonna declare war on you." You want to know what they did? They got the motherland, the Soviet Union, and them to invade Poland 50-50, roughly. So now, Germany and the Soviet Union own Poland. So now, France and Britain are kind of scared because currently the Soviet Union is the biggest, and they have a great military. So they kind of don't intervene with this. So Poland's just gone. It's now owned by Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. This isn't an accurate border. It's just it's roughly the border. So now they're angry. So they say, if you take Czechoslovakia, we're gonna declare war on you. So Hitler takes a little bit of Czechoslovakia. And now they're even more angry. So, the Prime Minister of the UK says to Germany, "Hey, sign this treaty that says you won't take over or the rest of Czechoslovakia, and we'll be good. He signs the treaty, and everyone's happy. The end. Or is it? Because, guess what? Germany invades Austria and Czechoslovakia. Yay. So now Germany is big. And Britain and France are even more scared. So guess what? The current Prime Minister of England, or the UK, says, I'm out. Goodbye. Because he tried to get diplomatic peace. Now we have a new guy in the House, Winston Churchill. So he replaced Neville Chamberlain, the guy who wanted diplomatic peace. Now, Winston Churchill, he wants peace through force. So now that Germany's a big boy and he signed a non-aggression pact with Russia, the Soviet Union, they're quite angry. So they declare war. So now both Britain and France are declaring war on Germany, while Russia does its thing and takes over more land to be bigger, obviously. So now Russia owns the Baltics and all of this other land in the Soviet Union. Now Japan is rising up with Emperor Hirohito. They take China. They take some of China. Because they already have Korea, so they want to, expand their sphere of influence into China. So now Japan owns some of the world, Germany owns some of Europe, and Italy's existing. Now, right now, Germany and Italy form a pact, the Pact of Steel, which means if you don't attack us, we don't attack you, but we attack everyone else. And we're friends. So, yippee. Now, French troops ride along the border, but this is a time of the war known as the Phony Wars. And does anyone know what phony means? Yeah. So, now, basically, everyone just doesn't care. Everyone's lazy, especially France, because they only line up their troops along the French border with Germany and not with the entire border with Western Europe. So, after the Phony Wars, during the Phony Wars, German morale gets higher and higher to the point where they're ready to literally invade France. But, so, basically, I'm going to tell you about Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg means putting tons of German refugees where you want to invade to make people slower to invade them. So, what do they do? What do the Germans do as their morale is high, their troops are ready, and France is lazy? Well, they copied their past selves in World War I and go through Belgium. So, guess what they do? They go through Belgium. Now, there are some so immediately British and French troops move in. But there is this one place in southern Belgium and northern France right here, and everyone thinks that that area is naturally protected. The Germans push through there and use blitzkrieg to get into France, and now they own this. They own this piece of France now. So they invade Paris, and after they invade Paris, France just dies. All their territory. Yeah. So, what do they do? What do the Germans do after they invade France? Well, too big. Well, they make this France over here. This is puppet France. A puppet state is basically a free country, but it's not free. It's controlled by another country. And why did the Germans do this? Because they wanted the UK, who's the only one left, to think, oh, France switched sides. Where? So basically, all this down here, that's a puppet. So now, London and the rest of the UK is all alone. Now, when a country is alone, they don't have anyone to back them up. Except good old America. The land of the free and the home of the brave. They do isolationism, which means that they don't want to be a part of anything and just want to relax. But that doesn't happen in a world war. So the US says, okay, I'll help you, Britain, by sending you supplies. So they start sending them supplies. But Germany still exists, and they have a coast to the Atlantic where the US is sending supplies. So now the Germans are sinking ships all around, breaking the supply line. Now back into London, they have the bomb practices on a daily occurrence. So they are ready. They're knitting in the bomb shelters. They're laying down, relaxing. They literally are the strongest. They have guts of steel. But then they send a phony little slight bombing on Berlin. Now, can anyone tell us what a bombing on Berlin means to Germany? Well, that means Adolf Hitler gets angry at the UK. So, they bomb London back. Yeah. And while this is happening, Japan, little old Japan, remember him? They sent out tons of the Japanese ships of imperialism by Imperial Japan to Pearl Harbor, aka America. But what most of you didn't know is they just bombed the ships that were out, not the ship shelters, not the submarine tanks, and not even the repair sites. And so, obviously, this makes America mad. So they join the war. So now it's the Allies. America, France. Yes, France has returned. So they made a little colony somewhere over here. And tons of people joined them. This is the real France. Some places they had to take by force. But soon, they made it back up. And now, what? They're ready. So, the Allies are the U.S., Britain, and France. The Battle of Midway just happened. The U.S., us, we won. Everyone's ready. President Franklin Roosevelt of the USA, the United States of America, what is this? What's that line? I don't like it. Decided to make something called D-Day. D-Day is shortened for Doomsday. What would happen is the U.S., Britain, and tons of different... Also, before I explain D-Day, I'm going to leave it on a cliffhanger. Italy tries to be something by taking over Libya and Ethiopia. And soon, they try to take Libya. It goes well. They try to take Egypt. It doesn't really go so well. And they try to take Greece. It really doesn't go well. Because, how did they take over Greece? Well, they invaded Albania. But now, Albania is halfly owned by Italy and halfly owned by Greece because the Greece actually have a brain. So now, the world is kind of looking like this. But now, it's time for D-Day. The Americans, the British, I'm so sorry. Before I explain D-Day, the Italians try to, Germany helps Italy get Greece. So, yeah, and they also would try to get into Egypt. That does not go well, because at the Battle of El Alamein is a great victory. Actually, wait. But, sorry. That actually does go well, but not for long. Because there's this little city called El Alamein. And Australian troops are sticking there. So now, this is the world map before D-Day. So now, I believe it's time. Italy. They switch sides. Right during D-Day. French, British, American, Canadian, Australian, Brazilian, all of the other Ian's troops line up. They go to their first place, Normandy. The beaches are taken over immediately. And soon, they go to some other places along the French coast. So now, D-Day has begun. The British are still standing. So now, after D-Day, Germany has no place to go but east into Russia, where they signed the non-aggression pact. They don't care. They even ripped the Treaty of Versailles, for goodness sake. So now, right when Russia doesn't expect it, or the Soviet Union, they sweep in. And they go Oh yeah, before this, Russia. This is just some little stupid thing. Russia tries to take. Uh, Russia tries to take Norway. Sorry, Finland, but they lose. They don't take Finland because they're not prepared. Oh yeah, the Germans also own Norway now because why not anymore? Because the British couldn't supply them, nor Sweden. So the Germans did and took them over. So now, after all this time, the German invasion of Russia, or the Soviet Union. Now, you might know this place. It's called Moscow, Russia's capital. That's what the Germans are looking for. They're trying to head out to Moscow. So now, the Germans head out, and Russia gets defeated. They keep on doing these whip rounds. It's like they're unstoppable. See, whip rounds are basically the Germans surround Russian troops on either side, and they're trapped, so they just die. But then, but during all this, Russia moves their factories over here. Take note for this. The Germans tried to invade and swoop into Moscow. But guess what the Russians do? They do the same thing the Germans did. And by using their own strategy, they force Germany back. Meanwhile, D-Day. It's happened. Everyone's waiting for the end of Germany. 1 down, 2 to go. So, basically, they all just win it and go to Berlin. And how are the Soviets doing this? Because, remember when I said they moved their factories over here? During that entire time, they were making tons and tons of tanks, guns, and everything. So they all squeeze into Germany. And guess what? They won. They won against Germany. The once unstoppable, now beatable. The Germans, everyone, they're all happy. Germany, you've been defeated. So now everything's normal, right? The war ended. Everyone's happy. Right? I think that's how you do it. No, that's Austria. Right, who cares? This is Czechoslovakia or something. Basically, this is Germany. This is roughly Germany now. And guess what? They split it. And they halfly own Berlin. Now, two sides own Berlin. The Russians, or the Soviets, and the Allies. There's East and West Berlin. West is good. East is bad because of the Cold War. I'm not going to explain the Cold War. This is World War II. So let's go on with it. Japan. There's 2 down, 1 to go. Japan exists, and people don't like it. And also Japan during this entire time, Japan expanded themselves to now they were bordering Russia and attacking small cities along the northern Australian coast. And nobody liked it. So everybody stopped it. And guess what? Little Boy and Fat Man were dropped on Japan. In Hiroshima, Little Boy was dropped, wiped out. In Nagasaki, Fat Man was dropped, wiped out. Japan surrendered. 3 down, none to go. Now there's no cool time ending for this war like World War One on November 11th at 11:11 on the 11th second the war ended. No, Japan surrendered. Everyone was happy. The war officially ended. A treaty was signed. And we reached 1945. Wow. I mean, this was also the fun fact, the Russian invasion by the Germans, it was the biggest ground invasion in history. Yeah, alright. Oh, bye.